Welcome to all of you. As per the budget speech 2024, I'm going to summarize key changes which was addressed in the today budget speech under Annexure 5. What are the main tax changes? So measures to improve tax administration and tax policy revisions, right? So they have addressed three main tax authorities, Inland Revenue Department and the Excise Department, and also the Customs, Department of Customs. So what are the because we have four main authorities on tax collection, as you're aware, that they have introduced tax changes in the budget applicable for mainly three the major tax collecting authorities. The first one is in the Revenue Department and the Excise Department and the Customs, right? So in the Inland Revenue Department perspective, what are the changes? They are going to introduce withholding tax separate return. A special return requirement will be introduced for the deduction of 2.5 withholding tax on sale price of any gems sold at an auction conducted by National Gem and Jewellery Authority. And again, exemption under the Inland Act will be allowed subject to such tax because they will give that exemption based on the return information. So they will prescribe this return and later they will publish this one. Withholding tax certificate. Then there is another one. Withholding tax certificate issued by withholding agent under section 87 shall be issued without charge or payment from the withholding. Right here, you know that there are some cases where the bank or finance companies they collect some charges from the customers when they request advance income tax deduction certificate. Because as you are aware, 5% withholding tax to be deducted is mandatory if any bank or finance company they have interest income එකට banks deduct advance income tax 5%. It is mandatory to deduct advance income tax 5%. Then the bank will deduct 5%. And if they deduct, this is mandatory. Once they deduct, they need to issue withholding tax or withholding tax advance income tax deduction certificate. Advance income tax deduction certificate then issue monthly. This is required to issue monthly, right? So if they are not issuing, then most of the cases they have to issue, right? As per the law, they have to issue monthly, right? Then in the practice, some bank and finance company they might charge. That's what the reason they have introduced in the separate provision. They are going to introduce separate provisions in the Inland Act in the section 87. Without any charge or payment from the withholding, because usually some bank and finance company they charge for the confirmation and all these things. Confirmation can be charged, but here withholding tax certificate, it's come to the withholding tax certificate or advance income tax deduction certificate. They can't charge any single amount because it's requirement of the law. If they deduct withholding tax advance income tax, they have to issue that one within 1 month, right? So that's what they have addressed. And income tax on unit trust and unit holders also they have some amendment here. Current tax treatment for unit trust shall continue to apply subject to the mandatory requirement of furnishing information specified by the Commissioner General. As detail of income, maximum amount, withholding tax detail to every unit holder before 30th August of the following year of assessment, right? Here they have mentioned especially before 30th August. Then the all detailed income, maximum amounts, and withholding tax detail also they have submit to every unit holder before 30th August of the following year of assessment, right? Then if it come to the 23-24, before the next year, then the 2024, 30th August, they need to provide this detail. Any unit trust who has not complied prior to the date will be deemed as unit trust that does not conduct eligible business, right? So therefore, they have to follow this mandatory requirement. They are going to introduce as an amendment to the Inland Revenue Act. Then the prosecution action against failure to file tax returns, right? Because most of people, they are not willing to submit tax returns if they don't have any income, right? There are some people in the taxpayers, most of the taxpayers, they thinking like that if they have only salary, they don't need to pay income. They don't need to file income tax return. හැමෝම හිතනවා salary එකට විතර tax එක company deduct කරනවා නම් ආපහු return එක file කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ කියලා. Right? But it is mandatory to file the return. So because as you are aware, the recent gazette notification issued in this regard. So mandatory provision with effective from 1st June 2023 onward, all individuals who are getting more than 100,000 per month, they have to have a separate tax file. So with effective from this gazette notification, you can read for additional knowledge, right? This gazette notification 2334/21, right? It says, right, with effective from 1st June 2023, these are the requirements, right? So practitioners, the medical council, right? The doctors, chartered accountant, CMA accountant, CMA, right? Engineers, bankers, architects, chartered architects, quantity surveyors, lawyers, likewise all people. Then here, person who registered a business in the provincial department, divisional secretaries, right? So the vehicle registered, other than three-wheel, motor bicycle or hand tractor, three-wheel motor bicycle, hand tractor, master, right? If you have your own vehicle, right? If you purchase or acquire deed for mobile property or any mobile property, right? So any employer whose monthly contribution from both employer and employee to the provident fund more than 20,000, right? Again, you know that employer and employee contribution to the EPF 12% and 8%, then 20% of the basic salary, right? If it is more than 20,000, then they have to register, right? Individual here, and again individual who obtain approval for building plan, and again individual who are receiving 100,000 per month, who receive payment 100,000 per month, not only salary, any other income, right? Employment income, business income, investment income, right? Whatever, if you are getting more than 100,000, you are maybe having professional service consultancy fees or like that. If you are getting more than 100,000 per month or annual 1.2 million, then you have to have a tax file, right? Right. Hope it's clear, right? Then the mandatory requirement is there, right? You need to submit. Tax return, right? Once you register, you can't stay silent, right? You have to anyway file. You have to anyway submit tax return, right? Then the other, if you are not submitting, then department will take legal action, right? Not submitting tax return and information requested by the tax official, right? They will take action, legal action, right? So it's also they have highlighted because of the revenue acceleration method as a, right? They are going to introduce this one as well, right? Then the clarity of certain provisions will be improved, right? So there are some clarity going to introduce, clarification. They might issue there's a notification or some amendments, subsequent changes they are going to introduce. So section 18, as you all are aware, this is finance cost, and sections 67 insurance businesses, and the section 163 court proceedings. They are going to amend to improve clarity. So they might come some further clarification because there are some ambiguities, further clarification need for those sections as well. So they will come on this, right? We'll wait. And submission of documentary evidence, again the important area. Documentary evidence called by tax official during tax audit or administrative review. The administrative review can appeal hearing process, right? In the appeal hearing process, right? But if you are not submitted, right? Not submitting within the reasonable time period. Reasonable time period, if you are in locally, it's within 6 months. Or the foreigners or foreign companies, so 9 months, right? You have to submit those information within the reasonable time period, right? Once they conduct audit. If you appeal against the assessment, then they will have administrative review, and in the case of appeal hearing process, right? Then you need to submit those information within reasonable time period, right? Then because they're here, very important thing, later you can't submit, right? Because most of people in the tax practice or the tax consultants, the taxpayers, they think like, okay, we can submit at the hearing at the tax appeal commission. They think like that. After tax appeal commission, they give balance information, then right? Now you can't submit those information at the tax appeal commission, right? Here, this is in favor of commission, in the revenue department. They are going to introduce this, then they will come and with amendment by introducing this proposal as well, right? Then the taxpayer need to be very careful. They need to provide all the information and within the reasonable time period, 6 months or the maximum 9 months for others. So if you are unable to submit, then you can't submit late at the hearing, because when the hearing process goes like this, no, right? Then the as taxpayer appeal to the Commission of Mineral CGIR, we call it as administrative review. So then if you're dissatisfied with the decision given by the CGIR, determination given by the CGIR, you can appeal to the Tax Appeal Commission. The CGIR decision එක determination එක satisfied නැත්නම් ඔයාලට tax appeal commission එකට යන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මෙතෙන්ට ගියාට පස්සේ ඔයාලට වෙන document අලුතෙන් දෙන්න බෑ. Right? Then ආවෙන් කරන්න යන එකත් එක්ක you can't submit here additional information again, fresh details. So here the last point of submitting additional information, right? You can't submit later. Additional information you can't submit later at the Tax Appeal Commission hearing. Only the place where you can submit all information here. So you can submit. You can't say later. First Tax Appeal Commission එකට වෙනම document හදාගෙන ගිහිල්ලා මේක තමයි කියලා you can't submit, right? So this is the place where you can submit all the information, right? So then the 9.1.6 tax identification number, as I shared the gazette notification as well, then they are going to, because even though this gazette is enforced, because most people are not registered, right? Most people are not registered. Most of them don't have tax file number, right? Then in order to get them into the board, they are going to introduce this one to get all the people into the board, right? So tax identification number submission, a copy of certificate of the tax identification number, TIN number, right? TIN registration certificate, right? Taxpayer identification number will be mandatory requirement to open a bank account. Right? It is mandatory requirement. You need to go ahead with the TIN. Then if you are going to open a bank current account, right? If you are going to open a bank current account, you need to have a TIN, right? Or a TIN certificate taken at the bank, current account, bank open, right? In this proposal, and if you want to obtain a building plan, approval for the building plan, right? As an applicant, you can't go simply, right? You need to have a TIN. Then if you already have a TIN, then you can go, right? If you already have a TIN, yes, you need to have a TIN. If you already have a TIN certificate, yes, you can go. Otherwise, you can't. Then you need to have a TIN to apply this for bank account, bank current account, right? Current account. So the building plan, in order to get approval for a building plan, right? And also another important thing, if you want to register a motor vehicle or renew license, then the vehicle තියෙනයිට renew කරන්න යද්දි එයාලා check කරනවා දැන් TIN එක තියෙනවද කියලා, right? Vehicle license එක renew කරන්න යද්දි TIN එක නැත්නම්. Mainly this what are the vehicles? Motor vehicle, right? මෙතනදී එන්නේ නැහැ motor bicycle එන්නේ නැහැ, right? Bicycle, three wheelers, so TW, three wheelers, and the hand tractors. So other than that, here also I discussed this. The person who registered having a vehicle other than three wheelers, motor bicycle, or hand tractors, right? So I think only they are focusing on motor vehicle, right? That means other than three wheel, motor bicycle, and hand tractors. And if you want to renew the license, then you need to have a TIN. The car එකක් තියෙනවා නම් අනිවාර්යෙන් definitely you need to have a TIN certificate, right? In other words, otherwise you can't do the renew, right? So TIN certificate you can apply easily online, right? So register a land, right? If you want to register land or title to a land, right? Then you need to have a TIN, right? These things again they are going to introduce here according to the gazette notification, the mandatory requirement to have a tax file with effective from June 2023 onward. These people need to have a tax file, right? So then the with effective from 1st January 2024 onward, all people above 18 years old, right? Above 18 years, they need to have a tax file. 2024 ජනවාරි පළවෙනි ඉඳලා ඒ කියන්නේ තව මාසයක් තියෙන්නේ. invoice වෙනාට පස්සේ they need to have a tax file. Right? The ready හැමතෙම tax file එකක් තියෙනවා. So in order to streamline this process, they are going to use this proposal as well, right? And then income tax treatment on salary areas, right? Here they are going to do present tax treatment on salary areas will be changed, right? Will be changed to remove the excessive tax liabilities of employers, right? They are going to have, because this is kind of a lump sum, the salary areas, right? Then they will remove, then sometime they will amend the schedule applicable for salary areas. So they might come for the reduction of EPIT, right? For the EPIT table, we have the regular profit from employment, lump sum, right? So then they will come with the concession, with the reducing the tax surge on APIT, right? Maybe that's the main expectation. Most people, they also are waiting to deduction for salary. That may be the one reason they recently introduced, today they introduced salary increment for government employees, 10,500, right? The salary වැඩි කරලා තියෙන government employees, right? So here, lump sum, under lump sum, the salary areas are there, right? Salary areas. So they are going to reduce this calculation. Most probably they will come up with a new calculation method by reducing table tax liability by amending the table 2. They will later introduce that one. They'll wait for that, right? And then the value-added tax amendment to the VAT Act amendment will be introduced, enabling the Commissioner General to specify format of tax invoice. This tax invoice එකක් ගත්තාම tax invoice එක different companies, if you look at එක විදිය නානපාකාර tax invoice issue කරනවා, it should be streamlined, right? Even though the value-added tax act says, if I'm not mistaken, section 21, it says there should be certain criteria. As I can remember, there should be 14 criteria, right? 14 criteria. The name, address, and VAT registration number of the supplier. And the name, address, and VAT registration number of the customer. Then tax invoice name in a prominent place in the invoice, right? And also invoice date, and the fifth one, invoice number, right? Invoice number, this should not exceed 40 characters, right? 40 characters, right? Right? Numbers and letters. At most recommended method to issue invoices with the year, because most companies, they will come up with 001, 002, likewise they will end up with 990. Then next year also they are going to introduce 001 in the next year. Then the better to come up with the year, right? Otherwise most of the companies, they will get duplication in the Inland Revenue system. Here, if it is 2023, then the next year when you are receiving, you just include at the front of the invoice number 2024. Then there won't be any duplication, right? You can include the year when you are starting the number. Then there won't be any duplication. Then here you might end up with 850, right? Here, no any duplication. If you only come up with the 001, 002, then the next year also 001, 002, then there may be duplication. The IRD system will capture you. There is a duplication with your invoicing system. If you put in year in front of the number, then you will not get the duplications, right? Here you will get start with 2023 001, likewise. Then the next year 2024 001, right? If you want, you can put your company name, short word, and ABC, right? Likewise, whatever you wish, you can put ABC company 2024 001, likewise. You need to have smart that type of number, because I also always encourage you to use that now in order to avoid duplication and the hassle fee VAT verification schedules in order to verify the VAT schedule in a good manner. Otherwise, duplication will be affected at the both party, the purchaser and supplier both, right? Will suffer due to duplications, right? So invoice number, and then the sixth one, and the description. You need to mention in the invoice what are they, and the quantity, how much, and the Here 8 value of supply, and the VAT and the total consideration. The 10 I just mentioned here. Here name, address, and VAT registration number. Actually, 3 item I just wrote it as one, right? Here, actually name of the supplier, address of the supplier, VAT registration number of the supplier, name of the supplier, name of the customer, address of the customer, VAT registration number of the customer. Altogether 14, right? These are the 14 characters. I put all in one, right? Here, name, address, and VAT registration number of the supplier. In other words, you can say 10 characters. That's also fine, right? Name, address, and VAT registration number of the supplier, name, address, registration number of the customer, right? Tax invoice name, in a prominent place, you need to display in bins, not the VAT invoice, right? Most of in the business practice, they call tax invoice, VAT invoice. Sorry, most of the people in the industry they call VAT invoice. VAT invoice as per the law, it is tax invoice, right? This tax invoice, right? Then this detail should be there, right? In the invoice, right? They are going to publish a specified format, right? Because of some errors in the system and all, right? In order to avoid the verification issues and all, right? Then here they are going to another interesting area. They are going to introduce with the amendment taxable period. They are going to introduce filing frequency for all taxpayers, right? Because you know that there are 2 taxable period on VAT. One people they are submitting return monthly, other people they are submitting return quarterly, right? So if you take that, we have the taxable period currently. So taxable period, we have monthly return filing taxpayers, right? And quarter. So monthly, who are they? Mainly SVAT registered person, or RIP in the sense, rest in peace maybe, registered identified purchases, right? Or the exporters, right? Exporters. So all others need to submit. All others need to submit quarter, right? Service providers, all these people, right? So then they are going to streamline the 2 taxable period into one, right? Maybe they will come up with the quarter return. We don't know. Let's wait till then, right? So they will come up by canceling 2 period. They will come quarterly or either monthly. We don't know, right? Most probably they will come with quarterly, right? So let's wait until that, right? Then there's a gazette notification will be issued to implement the increased VAT rate, right? VAT rate, you all already aware that VAT rate is going to introduce with effective from 1st January 2024 onward, 18%. So VAT rate, they are going to increase 18% because we have currently 2 VAT rates, because 3 VAT rates basically, because currently we have 0 rate for exporters, we have standard rate 15% for others. For the VAT on financial services, we have 18%. Then with effective from 1st January 2024 onward, they are going to have 2 VAT returning in that case, right? 0% for export and 18% for, we can take as standard rate as well as VAT on financial service rate asset. Here, VAT on financial service, we have calculated on value addition attributable to financial service, right? Yes, we have to have a different calculation because this is only the taxable supply, right? We have to calculate on the term sales, right? Right, meaning we are going to have a taxable tax rate, VAT rate. In that case, with effective from 1st January, then the gazette notification will be issued in due course, right? So already cabinet approved this proposal, right? The registered person will be encouraged to use point of sale, right? Point of sale, POS, machine which automates invoicing and sales recording to support VAT collection in supply of goods. This is also a really good innovative thing because most of other countries, developed countries, they have that point of sale machine which already automate invoice system and sales recording. Then the VAT collection also will connected to the, if you take Singapore, they have a separate machine when they are selling more than 100 Singapore dollars, then they will automatically collect the VAT and it will automatically link to the tax authority, and then they indicate those purchasers who made this one. If it is especially foreigners, they will issue a refund from the airport. We also have that type of system. It's also, we go ahead with the physical documentation, very hard to get refunds. Right here, if you have a system to automate all the invoicing, sales recording, and the VAT collections to the revenue department, it will really easy for foreigners. Then those who travel to Sri Lanka, they can easily get the VAT refund as well. This may be sometime because this may be implement because we need some further clarification on this. Right, let's look at on that later based on the proposals, the amendment. So excise department, they are going to have some excise changes to the tax administration measures to excise department. Then I'm not going to discuss those things, right? Excise department point of view. And as well as the custom also, they going to have some identification of these things they are going to introduce. And I will discuss here in order to prevent misinvoicing. They are going to upgrade RCPDA system because you know that RCPDA system we always used to refer when we are importing goods, so we can claim the input tax credit on custom declaration, right? Then this is already we are used to verify this one, verify through this RCPDA system. Because most of the importers and exporters, they have this facility, right? They can check this, how much they have, it's verified. Then they can, all the CASDEC will appear in the system. Then the tax authority also, will verify this one. Then the taxpayer and the tax officers also, tax authority or the tax officers also will verify this one, and the both party will match. Then they easy to get the credit, right? If it is equal, right? Then there are some misinvoicing things are going on. Let's see. Then they are going to introduce that one. Then upgrade that one, right? So KPI also going to introduce for custom officers. And the technical clarification, they are going to have some technical administrative provisions of clarification of administrative provision in order to streamline the revenue administration and rectify the certain ambiguities or in the case of avoidance, because when if any unclear areas in the administrative provision, it will lead to avoid taxes and avoidance, right? Then they are going to rectify all these issues by amending all these acts. They are here in the VAT Act, Finance Acts, SSCL, Social Security Contribution, Telecommunication Levy, Taxable Commission. They are going to streamline the revenue collection process because they are lacking of some revenue collection targets, because then they need to have money on tax perspective. They are going to introduce that one as well. This is the summary on the recent budget proposal on tax, right? If you have any doubt or clarification, you can comment under this video, right? If you want any further areas for the clarification, you can comment on this. And this document will be uploaded to the Tax Club website as well. You can download it from there. All right. Okay, right. Thank you very much.